Top of the morning, traders, and happy April 4th, and welcome to Lights, Camera, Smart Action, the most value-packed live options trading show where we live trade, break down charts, cover high-impact news, and talk trader mindset. Hope everyone had a great day yesterday and is ready to kick off another opportunity-filled day. Yesterday was a tricky day to trade, and only the patient thrived. For most traders, days like yesterday are textbook days for massive losses, massive drawdown, and accounts to be blown and over trading. So if you were able to navigate yesterday's price action, kudos to you. If you were break even yesterday, kudos to you as well. If you made some money, a big kudos to you. If you're ready to take your trading to the next level, join the SATC Premium Collective. You get access to live trading and all the resources you need to level up. This morning, unemployment claims came in lower than forecast and previous reading. We had a bullish reaction. It came above forecast and previous reading. It was bearish, but it came above forecast and previous reading. Correction. And at 12:15, FOMC Barkin will be speaking, and at 2 p.m., Mester will be speaking. So did face some technical issues initially on the stream, so we're back. So we'll get started shortly. So the primary levels I'm paying attention to on SPY is that daily upside breaker, 520.95, at 50% retrace, pre-market high, quarterly open. Right, but we can see we did get this aggressive push higher and a pretty significant gap. So we're just waiting. Let's see where we open up. Let's throw some let me throw the PO3 up there. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. So what we discussed is how money is rotating slowly back into tech, XLY and XLC, and it looks like it's slightly rotating out of energy. And again, VIX broke back below that 14, and the dollar broke back below that weekly downside breaker. Good morning, everyone on YouTube. So whenever we do get technical issues, right, the stream will go on Zoom. But if we can't make it on YouTube, I'll just post a portion of the live show on YouTube. But nonetheless, market will be opening in a minute or so. So we'll give it some time. So it looks like that's going to be that pre-market high, that 523.48. 523.48. And we're going to get a pretty decent gap. All right. Yeah, pretty good gap. Close to a $4 gap, $3 and some change. And our swings will be up nicely. I'm interested to see what the return is gonna be. All right, looks like it's at TP1, past TP1 actually. So we'll be interested in seeing that. A few seconds out from the open. If you have any questions on YouTube, drop it in the chat. Make sure to like, subscribe. Let us know where you're joining us from. And folks on Zoom, again, if you have any questions, you can drop your questions in the chat. If you want to provide any commentary, feel free to do so as well. But the one thing is you will be live on YouTube. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Pretty significant gap up. We're going to gap up about all the way from that 519.60. We can get a quick measure on it. 519.60. Almost a 3.75 point gap. So over a 3.7 point gap. 3.7 points, yeah. Right. So a pretty significant gap. Let's see how we open up here. and continued weakness on the dollar, continued weakness on the VIX. So if the VIX and the dollar continue to stay lower, if the dollar stays below this weekly downside breaker, VIX stays below this 14, then what we're going to look for is we're going to look for some sort of price action combination of a key level back to the upside on SPY. Let me make sure that level is accurate. So we did make this high here on that pre-market high. Let me just adjust that right here, right here. Take that off. So primary levels I'm paying attention to, 523.83, quarterly open, pre-market high, and that 50% retrace. So we're just waiting here, being patient. We can throw that 50 on the on that gap. This is a pretty significant gap, guys. Biggest gap of the quarter. Biggest gap of the quarter. And you know what? That gap lines up. That 50% retrace on that gap lines up beautifully with that 50% weekly that we talk about at 521.40, 521.41. So there's a setup right here waiting for us, right? So we'll be paying attention to that throughout. With a price action combination, of course, we have two key levels converging there. So we'll just kind of put that to the side and then look for something in real time. Continued weakness on the dollar, continued weakness on VIX. Good morning, everyone on YouTube. Oh, nice. The Palantir calls are up 51%. 51%. So I'm gonna take I'm gonna take 3 off right there. I'm gonna take 3 off right there. It's 46% now. I'll take 3 off right there. See if I get filled. Takes time to get filled with these later dated contracts. Okay, got filled. Got filled for about like 40, 46, 47%. So that swing worked out beautifully. It is above TP1, TP2. Right, I think it's headed towards TP2, and there's a gap there on TP2, right above TP2 for Palantir. So I'll close out there. Back to SPY, we do have this inefficiency here. We can close that as an inefficiency. See how we interact with that pre-market high. See if it'll grab at these highs. Sometimes what it likes to do off the opening drive is grab this high and dump. Right, it likes to grab this high and dump. Right, but we'll see. Let's see if this can close as an inefficiency. But we'll be waiting. Let me hop over to SPY.
As you would expect, they care about what end up being our top priorities strategically. They want to know about the future of the ESPN. They want to know about streaming and how that could be profitable. They care about the quality of
Looking at the 523
growing our parks and resorts business.
calls here with the continued weakness. If I can get a price action combination here, I'll take the 523 calls, but this is acting as some deterrence here, that pre-market high. See if I can get a price action combination here. It is going 2 up, 2 down possibly. All right. So this combination.
Stock went up. The first time he had a proxy fight, the stock went up. Then it came down when Peltz went away. It went up again during this process. He seems to.
Hello, hello, hello. Zoom disconnected. Let me know if you can see my screen, if the audio is good.
And or there would be those who say, well, an activist is helpful in getting management.
A lot of technical difficulties this morning. Thumbs up for screen, 2 thumbs up for screen and audio. 1 thumbs up if it's just screen and audio, if it's just audio or screen. I want to make sure you guys can see the screen. Audio, no screen. Okay.
The stock drifted down after that, and then it went up when we announced our November earnings. Yeah, I mean, he then mentioned the slate, and it drifted up slightly, and then.
Okay, should be good now.
And then we had our February earnings, which were sensational.
That pre-market high, 523.59, that was a pretty nice reject.
It was not reactive.
Right.
To the activist fight.
Right, but and not the idea though that you're going to be even stronger in your communications, even more focused in terms of articulating what it is you're trying to do, and or more focused on
Just waiting.
with somebody on your back.
Right. The thing is, the reason why I was interested in this inefficiency here and waiting for that price action combination is because the weakness on the VIX, weakness on the dollar. Right. But sometimes SPY kind of does its own thing, and that was a nice rejection off that pre-market high. Right. Key level, 2 up, 2 down, flush.
I mean, we're just at the beginning in many respects, but the results are already being felt in a positive way by the company. And I think it's reflected in our performance, particularly in our November earnings and our February earnings. So if you're asking me whether this caused us to have any greater sense of urgency about those priorities or any more focus, absolutely not. If anything, it was distracting. It took time when we should be spending our time on those priorities. And one of the things that I feel great about.
Anyone on Zoom able to catch this? Anyone get puts up here?
That I can,
Or no?
spend all of my time with the management team and the board on executing against those
Yeah,
priorities.
Nice.
Important any time from having other campaigns as well. It is an enormous distraction potentially for management. It takes a lot of time. I assume that's the case.
Good morning, Nico. Good morning, folks on YouTube. We're just waiting for that setup. We can see how price came into that pre-market high, went 2 up, 2 down, nice rejection, and now we're in the jaws of that gap. Right. We do have that level that we're paying attention to all the way down there, but as it works its way down there. Can't speak this morning. As it works its way down there, we can find a level to take it back lower, but I'll just wait for a retrace. Retrace, reject. Let's see where the VWAP is, back below VWAP. So if you did catch this, good work.
In some way beyond just the proxy contract?
On my side, no. Meaning,
Typically what they like to do is when they do have that pre-market high, what they like to do is grab that.
my personal interests and
Sometimes what they like to do is grab this up here.
the board
Grab that up there
opposed to the
and then dump it.
against criticism from Nelson
Good morning, Terry.
backing.
Good morning, Amy.
If you're asking whether it was personal
No, this is the 1 minute time frame, Terry.
him, he probably would say no. I think there probably was to some extent a degree of personal that was on the table here, but I
They
didn't.
fired him, I mean, he didn't like that.
Well, we closed the.
1 minute time frame.
Offices and it did result in I closing the company.
Yeah, utilizing the 1 minute time frame because we prioritize sniper entries,
My opinions about.
precise entries.
Again, we were defending the company.
So now this becomes a symmetrical inefficiency as long as it's respected, right? So what that means is if price does gravitate back into it, you can look for that move lower.
Personal impact on me. I didn't think that was really a great benefit to business.
No, but you're a very competitive person, and you wanted to crush them, didn't you?
Good morning. I just found you yesterday. Cool. Yeah, join us over in the Zoom. We're also there doing real-time trading. There is a trial if you want to join there, Terry. I'll tell you that the YouTube has a slight delay, right? There's a 15 to 20 second delay.
Extremely confident. I remain confident and very optimistic about what we're doing. And I just didn't think it was necessary to essentially bring Nelson Peltz onto the board, nor did the board feel that, given the fact that he didn't bring any new ideas and he wasn't going to have an impact on the company that we deemed was going to be positive. Anything, there was a belief that it could be a distraction and end up being more destructive than productive.
So if it has no respect for this inefficiency here, it can continue to move lower. If it has respect for it, get back above it, it can just retest it, continue to push higher. So you can treat inefficiencies the same way you would treat support and resistance, right? The same way you would treat support and resistance, you can treat inefficiencies as well. So show no respect for it here. If it wants to retrace, this is the area I'm looking for, that retrace for that possible push into lows. We are moving, let me get a quick measure. We are moving 68 cents per 5 minute candle. Of course, this is taking into account the gap as well.
In some form is a negative. So, as I said, his presence on the board, the board believed, could be distracting. And that might have made it very, very difficult.
What's the ID for the Zoom? You got to join the Zoom link is in the private Discord.
Which ended up being
So I am running this $20, $19 trial for 5 days. There should be a link in the description. If you want to join, come join us there.
7 meetings. I'm just curious, is
Right, so you get access to the Zoom and a plethora of other resources that can really benefit you in getting over the hump and becoming profitable. So we can see how the VIX is kind of curling up. All right, there might be an opportunity here.
Battle at all. They established this as their number one priority.
See if I can get a little bit higher.
Formed the committee right away. They've been meeting regularly.
So with this setup, right, that stop loss will be, right, it can be that 523.59 depending on the contracts you take. But for the 0 DTEs, don't let it exceed, at least for a majority. What I don't like to let it exceed is that 10%. Right, let's see if we can get a little higher, and then I'll take the 524 puts. A nice combination right there.
Not only is it important to choose the right person, but it's really important to give that person all the opportunity in the world to be successful in their job. And the board's very focused on who
So that was really close to that entry.
should be made, and essentially
Make that darker.
sorts will take place.
how does the failure to have done a successful transition last time?
So if that combination took place a little bit higher, that would have been our entry, right? So that combination took place a little bit higher.
Could not have happened at a worse moment.
Right. So a little bit higher, meaning like right at that 523.37. It did come into that 523.34.
What happened to this company during that period of time?
So we're being patient.
Most companies in the world, given
And let's be mindful when price does move like this, guys, a lot of times what happens is it forms this downward compression.
occurring, and just as important,
Right.
production wasn't going on. You know, movements
It forms this downward compression and eventually breaks that downward compression.
very, very hard. And it handed my successor a set of challenges that were enormous in nature, and hopefully that will not be the case the next time around. I don't think that there's much more I could add in terms of the process itself or the transition. Obviously, we all have learned from the past, and we're eager for
So I missed this entry by
not just for the choice of my successor, but ultimately how that person will take
about
it.
3 cents.
Since learned from the past, is there anything you can share in particular
No,
about the decision making?
not really.
It's not like you had to spend a lot of time with Chase, like we talked about it. I mean, you spent a lot of time.
Yeah, I think, look, as now it's 2000.
So I took out these lows. Now let's see if it wants to take out these lows. But what I'm monitoring, if there's continued weakness on the VIX, on the dollar, if there's continued weakness on the VIX, this can just be like just grabbing these shorts, grabbing all this liquidity down here and then pushing it back higher.
As we always do. Let's talk about streaming. Continue the long conversation we've had.
I got extended hours on. I see a nice head and shoulder. The first shoulder started pre-market. Good, 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 good. Yeah, there's patterns all over the place.
Yeah,
But good work, Terry.
a long time ago too. But you know, you cut the losses dramatically in the last quarter. You mentioned the stock moving, of course, in part. I think a lot of it moved on that idea that, oh, this business is going to be profitable, and it really will be. You've been talking about it becoming a growth business. You haven't really given specifics on what your
So
expectations
no buy blocks, no sell blocks so far.
is. At this point now, you know, you mentioned some positive things.
So I want to see how we interact with that low.
What can you tell us?
Yeah, so this would have, if this came in a little higher, we would have triggered in.
Which is such an important component of an investor's view of your money.
It is, maybe I can provide a little bit more
I'm learning. Yeah, there's a ton to learn in trading.
in terms of,
Right, there's always something to learn in trading.
we launched Vision Plus only in 2000.
Right, if you can see the way price is aggregating in that downward compression fashion. A lot of times, oftentimes, when it aggregates like this, and both the VIX and the dollar are on the same page, all right, it often leads to that massive move higher. But the question becomes,
Some growth and not as much as we
at what point does it want to make that reversal? Right, does it want to grab these lows?
dollars a year. It was clear that that was not
And the way we gauge that is by, of course, the price action that price action combinations that play out in certain areas.
profitable in our fiscal fourth quarter this year. We lost, I think, 130 some odd $1 million in the last quarter. That's a huge, huge improvement.
Or does it want to continue to make lows, but just keep that in mind.
Now what we have to do is
Keep that in the back of your mind.
into a profitable business, into a growth business. A business that this company
But in the meantime, as SPY continues to sell off, we do have this potential retrace into that inefficiency.
very clear to us. It's very, very clear that we need more engagement in terms of consumers,
Grab of that 523.34 is what I'll be waiting for.
which is a very compelling product, which is Hulu and Disney Plus.
523.34.
Friday, actually. And I can tell you that it is doing extremely well. We'll have more to say about that in our next earnings call.
Make sure to like on YouTube, subscribe. We go live every day with a live trading show from 9:20 all the way till 10:30, 11 o'clock. Once that wraps up, we continue to trade in our private community with that live stream and host an open Q&A and educational session. So make sure to join there as well to take full advantage of the program.
Reduce the cost of customer acquisition to get the margins up, obviously. I think we have to program more smartly, particularly outside the United States. We used to pick the markets where we could really move the needle and program with really strong local programming. We've had some success there.
So the question becomes, right, if there's continued weakness on VIX, continued weakness on the dollar, and we're aggregating in this fashion, the question becomes,
But then it will grow significantly with
will this grab of liquidity
Cracking down on password sharing.
be the catalyst to drive price into that, right, and then push it back lower and then go? Or will this inefficiency be the driver to push price back into these lows and then take it back higher? Right, so these are things we need to consider to see which areas are more favorable and can possibly return a bigger reward.
run businesses well, high margin businesses. Park and Resorts a great example of that, for instance.
So again, we're waiting.
The right path, but we still have a lot of
This is what the 5 looks like. No inefficiencies on the 5.
And I mean, you already are. I probably don't even like to hear me say numbers.
Have a continued weakness on the dollar.
You are, and that wouldn't be a bad place to be.
That would be fine, but I wouldn't say that
That's what's convincing me that this is all just,
Netflix is the gold standard of streaming.
liquidity engineering, grabbing all this liquidity and then pushing it higher. But we just don't know when they want to push it higher, right? That's what convinces me. When the dollar is this weak and say if the VIX just collapses under this 14, it's respecting that 14. But if it collapses and joins the dollar, we might get one more grab of some sort of liquidity and push higher.
Marvel, Lucasfilm, and Disney, and the array of content that we have. The acquisition of 20th Century Fox looms large in this
But the
process.
beautiful thing is, guys, we don't have to be married to a bias.
Significantly more
We can always flip.
including, Family Guy and The Simpsons and Avatar, and I could go on and on. We get great talent.
So now I want to see how price interact with that 20.
Footprint that is broader and deeper in the number of markets.
Let's see. Let's throw that.
Good. So now we've got
Go here.
I mentioned two in part, and I think of Apple and Amazon separately. What I wonder is, do you think the other streamers can effectively compete? And, does there need to be more scale in
Let's see if we can crawl out of there.
If in fact there was more consolidation among some of the competitors?
I don't know if it would help. We know what you need to be successful.
Just to measure.
Not everybody has that. And I'm not sure everybody can get it. We know that we can, given everything that I've discussed, given what, obviously the content that we have. And the
Continues to dump.
we're building and the brands that we have. I don't think everybody does that. I think there's got to be some consolidation.
I want to talk about the sports joint venture, but it occurs to me
Good morning, everyone on YouTube. We're just waiting for our first setup. We did have a trade here we wanted to take, but we didn't get.
of streaming products
It didn't come into our entry,
so that
and that was for the
bundled with Max, for example.
524 puts.
Is that a real possibility?
Well, let's take a step back because you mentioned sports. We are bundling right
But some of our members were able to take advantage of this initial move up that pre-market high.
product, which is basically the full suite of ESPN services. There will be a great opportunity for a bundle
Let's see if we can reclaim these lows.
plus a boost. And a bundle that is very consumer friendly, meaning part of.
Understood. But do you ever see a day when there could be a bundle?
So our Palantir swings are up 30%, 29%. So good on us for trimming it at 46%, taking a majority off.
Discovery and Fox.
Yes, I think there are possibilities.
Let's see if we can get an inefficiency here.
On the sports table,
I might take the calls back up into that.
stand right now in terms of, I know there's an antitrust
See if I can get back above that 522.92.
CEO for it. Price hasn't been announced yet.
No, we have an idea.
It's just the VIX has to join the party now. The VIX needs to dump. If both the VIX and the dollar can be on the same page.
You mentioned you hired a CEO. They're iterating
Let's see what the 5. This is what we have on the 5 so far.
look like, it feels like. And I don't know that we've announced a date yet.
This is what we have on the 5 so far.
That's right. We have no more specifics on that.
Yeah.
We feel good about it. We think it's actually
15,
a sports fan
5.
delight in terms of being able to watch.
So nothing too clean.
And do you think there's any antitrust issues that, are being raised by potential competitors?
Well, we know that some are.
So I'm paying attention to that possible reclaim of that 522.92.
Price? Do we have a sense?
What I would prefer is an inefficiency here or some sort of buy block. That would be great. Right.
Keep bringing up ESPN flagship, and I do wonder, and again, I know you're not going to talk price, but why have that? If I, as a sports consumer, have access to this joint venture, let's say I'm paying $45, why am I going to spend another
So we're being patient this morning.
over the top product? I don't quite understand what that is for.
Well, first of all, we haven't gotten specific about.
Let's see if this can go 3 up. If this can go 3 up, that would be great. Right. Most likely not only has it 9 seconds on this candle, but if we can get a candle to go 3 up, right, buy block, that would be great.
What we're trying to do is basically serve sports fans in multiple
So let's see if this candle takes out these lows and goes back and takes out that high. If it continues to dump, so be it.
and basically cancel their subscription. That's certainly one.
Why does it?
Just one ESPN. And by the way, what ESPN so-called
I don't know why it keeps doing that, folks on Zoom.
more than what the ESPN component of the joint venture will be. If they like that, they'll be able to get that too. And what we're trying to do is serve sports fans
Yeah, it keeps disconnecting.
and create real convenience too.
So you don't see it as a
Come on, Zoom. It's time to short Zoom, guys. Let's short Zoom.
flagship product, as you described it, which I think you've talked about
Let's see if this can go 3 up.
big market.
Correct.
The existence of this JV, do you have a name for this JV yet?
No. You got any ideas? Please.
No, no,
We have a suggestion box.
You got a suggestion? But you see them being able to exist both, because we talk so often about when you would take ESPN eventually over the top, and I still do find.
It didn't go 3 up. If we can go 2 down, 2 up, I'll take it.
Does it make it less,
It's a little higher risk.
less of a need?
Kind of trying to catch the bottom. I'll take 6 right there.
Multiple features.
6 of the
Sports, there'll be the opportunity to bet
522 calls.
right off the app. There'll be some
All right, this is high risk. I'm trying to catch that bottom.
interactive capabilities. So it's not the same thing. Again, what ESPN is trying to do is serve the sports fan in multiple ways.
Are you still looking for an investor for the?
All right, if it went 3 up, that would have been better.
Discussed Sun Valley this summer.
We're
The NFL.
All right, let's see if that can get back in force. If we can reclaim that 522.94,
Strategic partner.
all right, that might have been the better entry.
Ongoing discussion.
You think?
Nothing more to add.
All right,
But it feels like it's gone on for a
but
while.
let's see if it respects that 2 down and gets back above that 523.94.
I don't want to predict we're engaged in conversations. We think if we can reach the right agreement with the right partner, that it's a really worthy thing to do.
I want to move on to.
So if it makes these new lows, I'll cut a majority. If it breaks below that 522.69, I'll just cut it.
Is that over and done with? Are you happy with the new arrangement there?
It's still a federal case, so over and done, not completely.
Contracts are down 6%.
The free speech
Free
case?
speech case, but, we view what we did there as really, I mentioned on our annual meeting.
I'll cut 4 right there.
Yesterday, feels like it was a month ago, that we called it a win-win. This is a good thing for the state of Florida. And a good
Yeah, this thing might continue to flush.
settle the matter on a state level.
And the dollar's also reversing.
It's an opportunity to,
So I tried here. I wanted that 2 down, 2 up, continue to move higher. But I cut a majority there.
which has also been reconstituted to some extent,
Right, I have 2 left.
the kind of investments that we need to make in that business, not only to grow
And I'll just cut it right there. I'll cut the last 2.
Florida, create more jobs.
So I gave it an attempt here. But the thing is, when you're trying to catch this bottom, you have to be very, very quick. If it's not working in your favor, you just got to get out of there. Right, so that was our first attempt at the 522 calls.
Hostilities, I know you are aware of Elon Musk, and what he's been, continues to say, or at least post on his X platform. How do you?
Now it wants to go. Again, that reclaim of that 522.94 would be suitable. I tried it there.
There's no relevance to the Walt Disney Company relevant.
When you're playing these reversals, they have to work in your favor fairly quickly. You cannot sit around because, again, you're trying to catch that bigger move. All right, you're trying to catch that bigger move and catch that bottom. So you have to. It's not that it has to work immediately, but it has to be fairly quickly.
That you would love to be just out of the culture war. Do you feel like you're succeeding?
It looks like the dollar wants to curl back up.
Well, I think
Again, if I'm looking to go short, guys, it's all the way up here. Right, I can maybe make this a little wider. All the way up there.
preaching this for a long time as a company before I left and since I
Where we at? We're still in the middle.
goals to entertain
5 minutes turning into a hammer.
around rather liberally, no pun intended, with Patrick Clark.
So if we get back above that 522.88 possibly,
The bottom line is that
re-engage.
messaging as a sort of a number one priority.
But I want some sort of buy block or some sort of inefficiency or some sort of strength to be shown. Right.
And where the Disney company can have a positive impact on the world,
And then I can possibly react to that.
acceptance and understanding of people of all different types, great. But generally speaking, we need to be entertaining.
See if I can get filled there. I'm going to try to react to that off of that reclaim.
I have.
And in what way? What do you mean when you say that?
Engaging with our executives, engaging with the creative community, returning to our roots, making sure
Okay, we're back in those calls.
we define what our priorities are, and understanding that we're
So got stopped out here,
a diverse audience. And on one hand,
right, for a small loss.
the stories you tell have to really
Right, somewhat still interested in the setup. We do have that downward compression forming and decided to re-engage. What I don't like is the dollar's curling up.
they want to be entertained, and
Right.
they can't be turned off by
And now it looks like the move is price is moving,
the interest.
but it needs to get back above that
You can't please everybody.
that level we highlighted earlier.
Does the prospect of a Trump presidency change
So we're up 5%. So one could argue that, hey, you know what, you didn't get stopped out. You could have stayed in that trade, right? You can't argue that. But you know what? I like to cut it prematurely, guys, and then re-engage. That's just my preference. Because if it does continue to push lower, then that's when things start getting ugly. So contracts are up 8%, 9%. Manage accordingly. Take profits when you need to. All right, we are getting up into this top of that downward compression.
Richard Nixon was president when I started. Yeah, so when I'm talking about.
Well, he's almost done with that. You still gonna be able to be good for the next 2.5 years?
Yes, look, this is.
Looks like we're rejecting off of that.
It doesn't seem like it's been that great a job lately.
It's still a great job. I will not lose sight of that. It's a great company, it's a great job. We have a lot to do. I'm excited about a lot.
I don't want that to go 3 down. So there was an 8% take profit opportunity there. That was a nasty candle right there. If this inefficiency is not respected, then I'll probably have to close that for break even. But I wanted that push higher. I don't like this last candle.
You already have in terms of buybacks, dividend increases and the like.
I don't like that last candle. Right. But I'll give it a chance. That's the 5. I'm paying attention to the 5. If the 5 can hold enforcement, continue to push higher. Things can get dicey at this 523.04 level, which is at top of that sell block. Right.
Phenomenal brand. A lot's been said about ESPN in terms of skepticism about its future.
But my line in the sand will be break and close below this inefficiency here.
Friday night, ESPN had a doubleheader women's college basketball game. Game 1, which is Iowa versus LSU, which is a rematch of the championship last year, highest rated college basketball game ever on ESPN, men's or women's. That game rated higher than every game of the World Series. 4 of the games, the NBA Finals, the Golden Globes.
So again, someone can argue that, hey, you didn't get stopped out, but that's just my particular style. My particular style. The trading. Good morning, everyone on YouTube. So we are in the 522 calls. Things can get dicey up here. You got to be very careful. If you are in this position, manage accordingly. Take profit where you need to. There was an 8% take profit opportunity there. Right.
I mean, my God, you just recently with Julia, you were going through all the things that you encountered when you first came in. They didn't sound like a great list. I mean, you want me to quote you? I mean, you just went on and on.
Is that box you made a support level? You can think of it like that. Yeah. To simplify things, yeah, you can think of it like that.
Get back to that one day. Real quick, the one thing I also, the epic announcement.
I like how the dollar is dumping. Now I need the
I did want to just get you today.
the VIX is dumping. I need the dollar to join. Again, this is a contentious area. Right. So on this trade, what I'm looking to get, guys, is try to catch this big move or slightly below break even. Right. I know that this is a sell block. There's one of my other setups. That sell block is lining up with the nicely with that VWAP. VWAP is incoming, but we do have this downward compression break, and if it does break, it can really go. So position is up 2%.
And they were spending as much screen time on that as watching movies and television. Obviously, when you manage a company like this, you got to manage for operational excellence today, and build a company for the future as well. So it's put in the present, put in the future. Thinking about the future, if we don't engage with those demographics,
It's going to be predicated on how this 5-minute candle closes here.
not just
Right. If it closes as a shooter,
but incredibly important, vital almost, that we enter that space more aggressively. And we've been licensing and doing well, but we haven't really been investing that significantly.
I'll take 4 off right there.
And so the opportunity to engage with Epic
Right.
came up
If it shows some strength, I'll re-add to it, but I don't want that dump to take place.
back with a relationship with them already. A lot of Disney goods were being sold on Fortnite. So I had a lunch with Tim Sweeney, I think in June.
So if it does this,
Founded Epic, and we started talking about what was possible. And over lunch, we kind of designed a Disney universe that could live next to Fortnite. We engaged immediately after that in negotiation and announced something in November, which we're really excited about, including an equity.
it can do that off of that inefficiency, but what's deterring me from that is this sell block.
Right now, our goal is
The sell block can lead to a flush and a possible grab of that 522.59.
Hopefully it will be, and look to see where we can invest further beyond that.
Bob, we're out of time. But
Anyone on Zoom engage in this
Nice to see you.
in this trade here,
see you as well. Thank you.
or any other trades? I know trade wins. You're able to catch this.
Carl, back to you.
Great stuff. David Faber at Disney HQ in Burbank. Welcome to another hour of Squawk in the Street. I'm Carl Kingston here with Mike Santoli here at Post 9 of the New York Stock Exchange. David's going to come back with us in just a moment as he wraps up.
I'm gonna close it there.
Iger, in the meantime, market's decent open here, near 1% gains.
So I get filled.
At the opening bell, pretty solid breadth. All sectors green. 10-year settles back to 4.32. But of course, the real news this morning is all that we just got from Bob Iger. Mike talking about the activism, helps, succession, D2C profitability, even some concerns the
Okay, didn't get filled.
that Disney's been under.
So let's see. If it closes below here, I'll just get rid of the last runners. If not, let's see if we can climb back higher off that inefficiency. Looks like a nice head and shoulder forming on the 1 minute. Right shoulder forming now.
Things that the company knows it needs to do sound like they're simple. I mean, the cost cutting, getting the cost per spinning down, getting profitability is one thing, but increasing
Yeah.
engagement, when
You're on the money, Terry.
consumer kind of get that stickier, easier said than done, but you have
Came back into that inefficiency.
remembering that
Again, what's determined me are these guys right here.
two pre-COVID peak levels,
Right.
it's a fiscal 2018 number, but
I'm still in these two contracts.
theme parks experiences are 2/3 of operating income of this company. So that's either a good or bad. That means that you're over reliant on this area that's maybe not going to
Okay, I like that weakness on the dollar, weakness on the VIX. Two down. We're going two down, two up here. Let's see if we can keep enforcement, turn into a 2-2.
We're talking about 24 times earnings. That's kind of where Disney would have traded, back in the pre-COVID days before it really became kind of, essentially treated as a stay-at-home winner.
David asked Iger about margins in that business, whether or not, how close they can get to some of the standards that Netflix has set. He said that would be fabulous if we could.
Yes.
But it's going to be interesting to see how Disney acts as an echo to things Netflix has done. This password sharing foray in
sure.
June is a good example.
I think password sharing, being maybe aggressive on pricing, they've done some of that at this point.
Again, that inefficiency looks like it's being respected.
Hulu into the other offerings. Look, it's worth remembering that Netflix didn't get to Netflix.
See how price came into that inefficiency, respected it.
A lot of scale was built. It didn't just
I'll add more on there. I'll add 4 more there.
million subs.
Back to full position.
Keep kind of getting toward that
See if I get filled.
and get the assembly line.
Again, it's gonna be very difficult to get out of this area where price continues to reject.
Simpsons, Avatar,
Right.
we have the goods, as he said.
We do have these 2 sell blocks,
Thoughts and I guess prioritize
so I'll give it a shot here.
that you got to.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Fox.
I like how this inefficiency was respected.
Consistently defending that deal, as you guys well know, has come under fire from not just activists and any number of others who said they paid too much, but he's kind of always coming back to
And I like how the dollar is starting to dump. The VIX is starting to dump.
really has armed them for this appropriately for this race for the competition that's streaming. I mean, listen, in an interview like that,
Good morning, folks on YouTube. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe.
it's funny to me.
Join our private community for that live stream and many resources.
And yet, Mike, it still is
Have access to a lot of resources
for the overall
and the 2K to 10K account challenge archive.
It's the engine right now, and the company.
Let's see if we can go 3 up here. We can go if we can take out these highs here on the 5 minute, that 523.04. We can go 3 up, but look at how that high is also the top of that sell block.
Like it just kind of chugs
Right.
basically it's a macro call. I mean, if
So position is up 6%, 2%, not 6%.
the price is filling the parts, it's going to be fine.
So for me now, as long as price doesn't break below this 522.75, then I can try to ride this. Right. But just be cognizant of this.
where Iger is spending an enormous amount of time trying to retool things when it comes to many of the movies. Let's get more reaction.
So it's very important, to re-engage, to reassess, to reposition. These things are very important.
And Michael, I'm sure you listen. I'm just curious to get your overall take, if anything in part stood out to you. I know Iger said many of those things in different ways before, but there's always something new in there.
Yeah, David, thanks for having me on.
Again, this is causing problems.
You have optimistic, really talking positively about the assets that he has versus what he wants to dispose of. So I thought, when I listened to that, I thought, people don't realize
Down
the
4%.
damage that COVID and the pandemic did to Disney, and then the change of leadership.
Let's see if we can get some respect of this inefficiency here. If we don't respect this inefficiency,
What he inherited,
it might be my time.
world that he has to deal with. And to me, it feels like finally they're on the right foot with identifying their priorities and what they're going to do to fix those. And last year was a tough year. I think you were surprised. I'll put words in your mouth. We were surprised by how slowly the change happened in 2020.
Okay, I like that respect of it.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
I like how the dollar is dumping too and the VIX, both are dumping. So we've been in this position for a while. We had to do some readjustment a few times,
He was,
right?
again, the headlines were, it's worse than I ever even expected. That was not
If this can go 3 up, that would be beautiful,
on streaming, which of course is so important for the investors.
right? But of course, this is causing a lot of issues. There's a lot of traffic in this area.
Can they get to that double-digit margin?
So oftentimes when there's a lot of traffic and issues in a certain area, if that area gets broken on either direction, it can lead to a big move.
They were running
Right.
two separate businesses with Disney Plus and Hulu. They needed to put them together. You heard positives about what he's seeing from the first week of change. I think Hugh Johnson coming in is a real positive on the CFO side.
Yes.
They'll get you Netflix margins, but we think
Good morning, Kanoa.
margins in 2-3 years is possible. And I think that's why the stock's reacted.
Let's get the likes up on YouTube. Thank you everyone for joining.
The earnings power of the company will definitely pick up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was that last quarter in particular.
Double bottom in the support zone. Yep, you can see the double bottom there.
I am curious
One.
to you on this story.
First bottom, second bottom.
Obviously, Iger says no, there was no focusing that came as a result of having an activist. What are your thoughts when it comes to that, Michael?
That 2304 is what we need to get past.
Improved performance?
Right, that 2304 is what we need to get by. So contracts are up 4%. They did get all the way up to like 8% here. Our initial entry was here, right? And we talked about if it begins to dump, we'll close it. It was a high risk entry. We were just testing out the setup. So we ended up closing it for a single digit loss. Once we reclaimed it, we got back in, right? And then now is just doing this.
Of tone, and the activism had to help to kind of get the right person in that job, push this company forward. Although, Michael, David got to this point, this balance between to what degree activism
What I don't like, what's working against us, is the way price is aggregating in this fashion,
as a distraction
right? Sell block up here, upward compression,
This closest to have
right? We're down 2% on this position.
about those priorities or any more focused on absolutely not. If anything,
So again, my line in the sand is this inefficiency here.
when we should be spending on those
If we slice right through it, then I'll part ways with the setup completely, and I'll look for something else.
victory aside, that I can spend all of my time with the management team and the board on executing against it.
But a significant slowdown in price in comparison to this initial opening drive. We are coming near that second shift. We're about 60 minutes away from second shift.
spent on it, I take him at his word. One of the
Contracts are down 4%.
down the road talking to their investors, and you can see what's happened, right? The stock has taken off as they've met with all their shareholders, and
Look at the 5 minute. Might go 3 down.
maybe there's a silver lining here, which is the street and the investors
I'll take 4 off right there. I've been in this position for a while.
in the past 3 or 4 years.
Reduce my
Conversations they've had, but I take Bob at his word. Now he's happy to be back with his
so I have 2 left.
about strategy management. I know
So I size down.
aspirations.
Again, if it can convince me, I can add to it. You have to also understand I'm using 0 DTEs. Just because I'm using 0 DTEs, it doesn't mean you have to. You can use Mondays, Wednesdays, or Fridays. If you use later dated contracts, you can sit through these kind of moves with 0 DTEs. This really eats up your premium. So be cognizant of that. And I like how the dollar is dumping, the VIX is dumping, and how the dollar is kind of curling up, right? So some indecision there. But I don't want to sit through this with a full position,
Cross footprint in broadcast
right?
and then just sort of on the studio side, just go for franchise more, higher.
So at this point, it's like stop me out or make that higher move.
It's a good question. When Bob first
And I'll get stopped out. I'll stop myself out here.
and the
breaking close below that 522,
when their movies
522.75.
TV shows started to work, biggest crush numbers. I think what people are counting on is you cannot have a worse 23 in terms of the box office. They're optimistic about their slate going forward.
Did anyone take profit off the initial move?
Their driver,
Or anyone still in this?
the integration of
It's just chopping side to side
content
on Zoom.
and Disney Plus hitting. But I think people, you're right, the cost cuts are known, what they've done on strategy is known, but
VIX is dumping, dollar's curling up.
was changing the structure of the company when Bob came back and giving power back to the creative silos. That's to come, and that's what always gets Disney moving.
So we'll run the stream until 10:25, 10:30 on YouTube. If you have any questions, drop your questions in the chat. Make sure to like. Thank you for joining us this morning. All right, if you're new, we go live every day at 9:20. We host a live show, and we also have that simulcast stream on Zoom and in our private community. So if you want that real-time stream, make sure to join. Go check out some of our older videos.
Streaming landscape. I tried to get
All right, lots and lots of gems, lots of valuable information in those videos that you can really benefit from.
Disney Plus, in some form, obviously becomes one of the de facto leaders. What about all the others out there, including our own parent company? What do you think? You know, when I
So contracts are down 1%.
what's going to happen?
It's the question because
Keeping the losses small is the main thing.
it's streaming.
Keeping the losses small is the main thing. If you're gonna take one thing away from me, is keeping those losses small. Paper cut, paper cut, paper cut, paper cut. Take as many paper cuts as you need to catch that massive move. Don't take massive loss, massive loss, massive loss, massive win. Just paper cut, paper cut, paper cut. Stop losses are your cost of doing business to potentially catch an opportunity. That's all they are. It's not really a loss.
And that's your question of Bob
It's just your participation fee to engage
help your business. But you need
in a potential setup that can work in your favor.
just at the
That's all.
beginning of that change.
Just think of it as a admission fee.
That's one of the things. The sector's getting less competitive.
But if you're taking huge losses, it's no longer a fee, right?
Michael, always appreciate it. Thank you.
Again, I did size down because of this. We do have these two left. We can sit through it with two, as long as this inefficiency doesn't get violated. 10:30 is coming right up to 10:30 is rolling around the corner.
Raising its full-year profit guidance, and Conagra Brands among the biggest gainers on the S&P this morning, surging on its Q3 earnings and revenue beat. By the way, don't miss the CEO with Jim.
So that's like a very dangerous zone to trade, guys. If you're not in a position, no need to engage here.
Big show still ahead on Squawk on the Street. Don't go
All right, just wait it out. A lot of indecision in this area.
CNBC, live ambitiously.
I worked very hard and visualized my success. Trust me, it is a very powerful tool. Ambition to me is not only about making money, it's really about taking those small steps towards progress in life. Every viewer coming to CNBC is ambitious. A homemaker like
Upside down flag, yep.
burning on
You can see it. Upward compression.
to trader at a bulge bracket.
That can play out.
If you understand the story behind the numbers, it can change your life forever.
Hi, welcome to my airplane home.
No matter where
This tiny house is less than 300 square feet.
or what. Before we bought the building,
I'll cut it right there. It looks like we're going to close below that inefficiency. So I'm out of that setup.
the place can be home sweet home. We have
Right.
the biggest backyard you could ever imagine. Ticket
Chopping side to side.
people spend to live their dream
Welcome to my apartment in Paris.
and how it changes their life for the better. Unlocked. Opportunity doesn't just knock at your door. It's a hands-on pursuit fueled
So we have two things going on here. We have this inefficiency here. We have this upward compression along with a few sell blocks. If we look on the 5,
It's the reward.
so I don't want to be a part of that. If we look on the 5, let's take a look on the 5.
Feed your passion. Your future is in your hands. CNBC. Live ambitiously.
This is where we are now. All right. Looks like we're inside on the 15. Yeah, inside, double inside on the 15. All right. You can see we're inside of this 15 range. We're going inside, inside. If we take out these lows, we can go 2-2 continuation or 2-2 reversal back to the upside. That's what's causing all the indecision there. But we do have this sequential inefficiency on the M5, which is inside of that 15-minute range. So first setup didn't go work in our favor. Small loss.
Believes the S&P still vulnerable.
Yeah, let's see what the loss amount is.
Piper Sandler Chief Investment Strategist Michael Kantrowitz. Michael, great to have you back. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
I think year-end looking at 5250. I wonder what it would take, though, for you to start thinking about some upward revisions.
Anything that brings down bond yields, period. And I think there are data that could continue to do that. You know, look at what claims did today, and I am biased to the upside. Look at what claims did today.
So we're waiting here, guys. Just waiting for price to kind of clean up. We do have 1030 rolling around.
Tomorrow with the unemployment rate, but as we see it, the labor data is going to continue to grind at a softening, or continue to soften and provide the Fed and
So there was a nice opportunity here off that pre-market high.
3 times this year.
Retrace, reject.
Markets will go up on that.
From Powell yesterday to this
We,
morning.
we didn't get an entry here, right? We were about like 5-6 cents away from our entry here. Tried to get the bottom here.
Rate cuts in. You know, the risk to that, of course,
Right, ended up repositioning in this area,
and the economy
re-adding, repositioning, re-adding, and finally cutting it.
year to date, but I don't think it's a big enough problem to offset some of the more disinflationary forces we're seeing on the services side of the economy.
Good morning, everyone on YouTube. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe.
Narrow window when
And what a dump.
economic numbers can benefit markets. It's when you're kind of trying
But
to fine-tune
I think they want to play this liquidity grab game,
easy move right now. Wonder how you read things
but
like
we'll see.
maybe there's some fatigue on the consumer side of the economy in pockets.
So when I was saying that this is also a setup, one of our other setups,
Manufacturing numbers
sell block, upward compression,
after a couple of years when
right?
we decided, well, that's not really telling us what the underlying economy is doing. Are we just seeing a shift from to the production side of the economy? How do you read this?
So where are we in the grand scheme of things?
I think the psychology of investors has shifted. For the
This is where we are in the grand scheme of things on SPY.
We've seen interest rates and stock prices be negatively correlated now for the last couple of years. We hadn't had that backdrop
Right.
really since the late 1990s, and that that was the backdrop we had throughout
So
the 70s.
we're facing traffic on Mondays,
Well, and so
in Monday's trading range. That's where we're facing the traffic.
we'd be raging bulls recommending small cap risk on strategies, but
And this is where we are in the 4 hour. So we're still,
the prices paid index
we still have strength on the 4 hour.
is on. They never did 2 years ago. The correlation between the prices paid index and the ISM index is
And
about
let it cool off. If they decide to chop things around, guys,
really expect to see
just let it cool off.
and better growth,
We are waiting for that
and therefore higher
521,
it kind of takes some of
521.40, 41 area.
segment out of the equity market, in my opinion. If we continue to see higher PMIs,
So before you get,
higher interest rates, you're not going to see the typical playbook play out.
don't focus on where price is. I always say this.
Newly ranked as a
Right? Don't focus on where price is. Pay attention to where price came from.
to a few of them here. There's Schwab.
So if you've been watching long enough, you also know this is one of our other setups, sell block, upward compression. But I decided to entertain the other side of that, take it back higher. Right?
Years now, and we define
So I knew that if this did break down, things can get nasty.
good realized
So
earnings growth,
you have to look at a trade from both sides.
provisions that are beating their peers.
Right? If it doesn't work in your favor, what else is cooking in the background that can really go against you? So I knew if I don't cut this fairly quickly, if the move doesn't take place fairly quickly, if this inefficiency is not respected, then we can really make that downward move. So there's no reason for me to wait and see.
So that's the commonality.
Right?
It's not about picking sectors. It's really about picking stocks within sectors that have those attributes.
Give viewers a quick peek at some of those names.
And we're seeing the dollars curling up.
A lot will depend on the data to come.
Past 15 minutes, dollar has bullish momentum.
Thanks so much. Good to see you. Michael Kantrowitz. Quick note as we go to break. The Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen arriving in Guangzhou today Sarah Eisen's going to sit down with her live in Beijing. Coverage, of course, will begin here 5 a.m. Eastern time. In the meantime, Dow's at 140. Don't go anywhere.
Make sure to subscribe. If you have any questions on YouTube, make sure to drop your questions in the comments. We will end the stream in a little bit. We'll continue on Zoom. We'll continue to look for setups. So make sure to join us there. Right, and here it is. There's that $19 trial. Take advantage of that trial. You can get in the free tier as well. The free tier, you don't get the stream. You just probably get pre-market notes. And sometimes I drop meetings to links in there and provide value in there as well. But if you want to really take your trading to the next level, private community, live Zoom is here. Make sure to join. And that $19.99 trial, take advantage of that. All right, this is what the Discord looks like. All right, you get the market recap every day, daily game plan, private chat, swing trades, post your charts, all sorts of things, and access to a ton of live videos. Over now, probably 200 hours of live trading videos. And we hover over back to the 5. All right, so what do we see on the 5? What I want you guys to take away are these candles, the wicks. Look at the wicks. So a lot of indecision on both sides. Indecision, right? So when it's very wicky, there's a lot of side-to-side manipulation, grabs on both ends, traps, right? Trending days, there isn't a lot of wicks, right? So let's see if we go 2 down, 2 up after grabbing this low right here. If we do go 2 down, 2 up after grabbing those lows, what I want is a strong reclaim of this inefficiency, and then we can be convinced to take it back higher. But now we want a strong sign of strength. We do got to get past all this traffic up here, and then on the lower time frame, that traffic signifies a buy block, a sell block. All right. If it can't do that, then it can grab that liquidity up there. Right. You can grab it and move lower. Again, pay attention to where price is coming from. Right. So what I decided to do is grab this. Make sure to like, guys. We have 19 to 20 people in here. Make sure to like. Let's get the likes up. Upside down, do you find that there is a stronger signal on higher time frames? No. If I'm scalping, signals are not based on the higher time frames. I use the higher time frames to gauge bias, potential direction. Entries for me would be based on the 1 minute, right? Price action combinations on the 1 minute, but I want to gauge what price is doing, what the structure is, what the overall direction is with the higher time frames. So if we look at the 5 minute, we can get an idea of that. And you have to also understand all time frames are fractal. What that means is in this 5 minute candle, there's 5 1 minute candles. So those 5 minute, 1 minute. So once that 6th 1 minute candle formed, this was the composition of the 5 1 minute candles. This is what it equaled. This is what it painted. So now if you look at a 15 minute candle, this 15 minute candle, right, is a sum of 15 1 minute candles and 3 5 minute candles. So this gives us a better picture. Right, so you can start using higher time frame entry signals for swings or for later data contracts. What we're doing here primarily is we're taking scalps, right? You can use a 15-minute time frame as well, right, to gauge your bias, right? So this 15-minute, we took out these lows, and we can go two down, two up. If we break above that 523.03, that can be the move. But I can kind of already see that on the 5-minute, right? On the 5-minute, that's basically what I was illustrating, is if we break above that level, come back into this inefficiency, then move higher, then our opportunity will be there, right? And if you go to the hour, this is what the hour looks like. We're inside on the hour. Some folks like to use the 30, so we have a hammer on the 15 and a hammer on the 30, right? Some folks like to use the 4-hour. That's the 4-hour so far, right? So these are all intraday time frames you can use. But what I'm primarily paying attention to now is that break of that 523.04, retrace into this inefficiency, continue to move higher, then we can decide to re-engage. But prior to that, there can be a lot of side-to-side action in this area, like we can see. And then we don't want to participate in the middle, is the point I'm trying to make. We want to participate on the edges, right? Although there's a lot of risk associated with participating on the edges, that's where the moves take place. Good morning, CEE. I think your mic is on. Can you mute on Zoom? Thank you for joining us. Thank you. I like watching the 15-minute, then I use the 1-minute. Exactly. Right. So I think you'll enjoy the smart action principles there, Terry, and our style of trading. So again, I'm just waiting. Let's see what price decides to do. Weakness on the VIX, weakness on the some weakness on the dollar. Looks like the dollar wants to push back lower, but this is a no go for us. This area. Yeah, you can catch these moves, but they're short-lived. So let's do a recap before we end the stream on YouTube. We will continue on Zoom, right? So we had that gap up around the $3 or some change on that gap up. Retrace back into that pre-market high. 2 up, 2 down, rejected off of it nicely. Once we did that, we did form this inefficiency up here, and we want a price to kind of draw back into that inefficiency, retrace, reject off of it, and it didn't come quite into it, so we didn't take that entry. Sometimes you don't catch your entries. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. And then price continued to move lower. We tried to catch that 522 calls off of these lows. Once that low was formed, we had that 2 up, 2 down, 2 up. Worked against us. We closed out some of the position. I believe we closed out all the position. And then we decided to re-engage once price came into this area, and it got all the way into like 8%, right? But I wanted that move to kind of accelerate and push back higher and break this downward compression. So we chopped around, did some repositioning in this area, and decided to part ways with the setup once this inefficiency was violated, right? That was the sign that the setup was no longer valid. And I didn't even wait until this candle. I just kind of knew that the upward compression was forming. We had the sell block up here. Price can kind of go against us. So I decided to part ways. Primary thing I want you to take away from this episode is it's okay to re-engage. There's a difference between re-engaging and adding to your losers. Learn to identify that. A lot of traders, what they like to do is if a trade is going against them, right, they just continue to add. So you're looking to get calls, right? All right, say you're looking to get calls, just for an example. So you're looking to get calls off of this level, right? Price comes into your level. You take calls in this area. You fail to secure a profit up here, right? And then now it breaks back below your entry, violates your stop. And what traders do is they add here. So now they double down in that position. There's a difference between averaging into your losers and doubling down into a losing position, right? If that's not part of your plan, you cannot, that means you're deviating from your plan and you're doing something completely wrong. If this is part of your plan to re-engage in this position, to potentially catch a possible higher move like that, then so be it. But there's a fine line between adding to losers and doubling down and like re-engaging and adding to losers. So it's a fine line, and I don't recommend beginner traders to reposition and do all that. What they can do is kind of just get stopped out, reassess, and come back to it. Right. Sometimes what I like to do, for me, is since my stop losses are so tight. For instance, let's say this is what I'm looking for. Right. This is what I'm looking for. So price is not doing anything here, so we don't need to really pay. We can pay attention, but let's look here. So this is what I'm waiting. This is what I'm looking for. So first of all, I'll wait for that grab. Okay. So my entry would be in this area. Okay.
And coming up in a few moments, we will speak exclusively with Peltz about what's coming up next for
So say this is my entry.
this, one of these things that we have apparently done pretty well here, pairing the 2 points of view.
Right. Say I enter here, and it continues to dump. It continues to dump. As it's dumping, I'm not re-adding. I'm not re-adding as it's dumping. I'm paying attention to price. I'm paying attention to other factors. I'm paying attention to what's playing out, and I'm cutting. Right. I'm cutting. I'm sizing down. If I'm still interested in this setup, right, and it shows some signs of strength, I can re-add. I can start re-adding. If it shows some signs of strength, I can start re-adding if I still believe in the setup. But what happens when you enter a trade is going against you and you start adding, right? A 10% loss on 10 contracts feels much different than a 10% loss on 20 contracts, right? Even though it's 10%, we start thinking of the dollar amount. So it's be very, very aware of what you're doing when you're in a losing trade, right? To me, I rather start sizing down when it's not going in my favor rather than double down. I rather start adding when it's working in my favor. And by doing that, I'm able to minimize my losses. I'm able to keep my stop losses tight. And say if it does exceed 10%, a majority of my contracts are gone, out of there. So now if we get an impulsive candle in the dumps, I'm taking this loss. I'm taking the brunt of that force with minimal size, right? But by doing this, this allows me to engage and participate in trades that do go in my favor. So when trades do go in my favor, then they really work in our favor, right? So the primary thing, the biggest takeaway is, right, analyze the way you're adding to positions. And are you adding to your losers or are you adding to your winners? Right? Just something to ponder, something to think about. Right? Just think about that. Again, price continues to chop. We'll be live on Zoom, so if you want on YouTube, join us there. Thank you for watching today. I like watching. Let me read some of the comments. Do you find there is a stronger signal on a higher time frame? I like what. Okay, those are some old comments. Anyways, folks on YouTube, thank you for watching. Like on your way out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll go back, watch some of the older episodes. There's a lot of value-packed stuff in there. And thank you for the continued support. Have a great rest of your day. Trade safe, trade smart, and I wouldn't touch it in this range. God bless.